Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. We got some big win streaks coming out of the deadline. We got some losing streaks, and we got fight night. Trevor Plouffe. Let's have a day. Let's have a day. Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball, presented to you by SeatGeek. Code Talkin'. Use it your first time using SeatGeek. Trevor Plouffe back home. The Plouffe family just went on a grindy road trip. East Coast, back to beautiful Minnesota. Hey, Joe Mauer's retirement weekend. Not a lot of guys play the game like he does, and that's the problem. I'm coming off of, me and Beebs coming off of a warehouse weekend. We just held our second floorball tournament. It was out of control. It was incredible time. So you're going to hear a little bit of that in my voice because hot warehouse turns into late nights in beautiful New Jersey. Chris Rose out on the town. That always puts a little lead in my pencil. Trevor, how are you doing? Back home. Big week. How are you?
Big trip. But you think the dog days of August come on this show? It don't happen, bro. There's no such thing here. We're running straight through it. Yes, East Coast trip. I went all over your beautiful state of New York. All over it. And had an excellent time. So thank you to the people of New York. We had a lot of fun. Yankee games, Lion King, Montauk, straight to Minnesota, which was great. Got to see a lot of my teammates, or ex-teammates, excuse me. And the Twins swept the Diamondbacks. I talked to Torey Lovello. He wants to hang out. We'll talk Torey a little bit later. He said some funny stuff about you and Jimmy that I want to share with the audience. But really? I'm happy to be back in MC Studios, talking ball. A lot of stuff has happened. The standings have changed like crazy. We got, like you mentioned, the fight. We got to get into that. I think I have a little bit of an unorthodox take on that.
Ooh.
Not trying, just how I feel. But yeah, Big Daddy, how you doing? I know you're beat up a little bit from the warehouse because it is hot there, but you look just fine. I'm happy to be talking ball with you this morning.
Yeah, Tre, it's my, every person. If I was an inspirational speaker, I would say every person has their superpower. Mine is I can go until I literally put myself into the ground.
Yeah.
Like I play floorball goalie, not a traditionally trained goalie by any means. The warehouse is 100 degrees. We're wearing tons of pads. I could live in that. I could do that all day. I could talk ball all day. That's my superpower. Meanwhile, Jimmy's superpower. The Tim Anderson, Jose Ramirez fight happened, so he's in the floorball tournament. He starts getting the breakdown going. He can't stop, won't stop. I get down, baby. Yours?
Is that coming out today? It's got to be coming out today, I'd assume. Like he's trying to hammer it out.
I would guess he's working his hardest today to get that out.
Yeah.
ASAP.
I would assume, YouTube, maybe a night release. I don't know. I don't want to put that on him, but
I don't know what release time.
He's working on it.
He was already in the grind on it.
He mentioned this being last week of part-time paternity leave because he took 2 away and all that. So I think it's the only thing on his docket today.
I'll say it, Jimmy. Get the freaking thing out today.
And
okay.
I have
nice to see a little hustle.
I have some good news for you, BBD, and a surprise for our programming that I think me and Trev can announce to the world. I didn't see it on the internet. Something we've been rooting for all year. Can we announce it, Trev?
Oh, I don't know, bro. Screw it.
Don't. I'll be blue.
Should we not?
I think we should.
Okay. On 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Cole Tucker
to the
Rockies.
Show.
Let's go.
Yeah. Cole Tucker on a flight to Milwaukee right now, meeting up with the Rocks.
Oh, he knows that stadium.
And I'll be seeing him. He's coming to LA this weekend. I told him I'd come to a game.
Look at that. So we're high on life. Kotuk back in the league. We've been rooting for that from day one. And Trev, yeah, I'm excited to talk some ball. We do have a slightly funky sheet today because Dalton who does the sheet for us. He was grinding at floorball all weekend. So
also doing some 10D work.
Couple also dancing. But yeah, a couple series don't have some of the normal deets we have, but it's also that time of year. And like, dude, post trade deadline, there's a couple W6s on the boards. A couple teams are rolling. A couple teams have the trade deadline is the end of the season for a couple teams. I think
the Mets.
Maybe the Halos winless since the
oh.
break. Sheesh. Let's talk some ball, Trev, and it's brought to you by a new partner, and this is something unfortunately close to me, Nutrafol. If you're not familiar, fellas, you don't have to choose between your hair growth and your health. Nutrafol provides a whole body health approach for men that promotes healthier hair, no drugs, no compromise, just better hair. This is something, if you're close to me, you know I'm getting a little self-conscious about. I'm already short. If I start losing it up top, I'm just every generic Yankee fan. Yeah. I'm just bald, fat, and short.
Up at the guard.
So, Nutrafol, #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. I've been messing around with this stuff, and I got a little nervous. Floorball, we got a lot of cameras, and Daddy's sweating a lot. And you take off that hockey helmet, you don't know what the camera's going to show you. Had some good results. Was feeling good. Came in nervous to the tournament. So, take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. Limited time only. Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men and enter promo code TALKBASE. TALKBASE. That's what I'm doing every day. Nutrafol.com/men, promo code TALKBASE. There's a link in the description. Go check them out. Fellas,
I think you should curl it.
our scientists and stuff have put in the time for that. Like, go check it out.
Solutions are out there.
Let's, Monday AL. God, fight night? Are you kidding me? Canobio? Viral video?
Oh my god!
This is like a viral
He's in everything.
video.
He's in everything.
Canobio.
Is this guy gonna be like famous? Like,
I think last year was the year of Jolly. I think this year's the year of Canobio. He's
maybe
hanging banners he wasn't a part of. Let's do some AL baseball.
Jolly's starting to fail.
Speaking of sweep week, a team on the rise and a team on the demise. The Seattle Mariners take 4 from the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Trevor Plouffe, oh no, you've been on these Mariners. You've liked it. You liked what the Angels did, but boy, it is spiraling out of control. Mariners needed Julio to go. He had a big day at the office in the second game. Cade Marlowe, little grand salami. How are you, kid? George Kirby, best pitcher in baseball when Mariners fans are in our comments. And then they get the 4-game sweep on that final game in the 10th inning. My goodness. J.P. Crawford is on that team. Mariners have won 5 straight. Halos haven't won since the trade deadline. Scary times in Anaheim. My Yankees and the Houston Astros. ALCS preview for one team. Houston, they end up splitting the series on the final day. Yankees survive the first game and bullpen holds them down at the end of the game. Houston takes control in the second game. Severino gets rocked again. Yankees, Nestor Cortez is back. Justin Verlander making his re-debut for Houston. Yanks outlast them. And then the Astros, a fun back-and-forth game, kind of. Jake Myers, how's your burger? 2 homers, 6 RBI. They end up splitting 4 in the Boogie Down Bronx. The Toronto Blue Jays, don't pronounce that second T. Don't do it. But they sweep the Red Sox. After the Sox had bullied them this season, they take all 3. The drama happens in that second game. Fly ball deep left. The Sox think they're about to win the game. KK catches it on the track. Double play ends it. What is we doing, baby? Blue Jays blow them out in the final game. You know a lot of these guys on the Blue Jays. You're about to learn about a new guy today. Davis Schneider. Have a debut, kiddo. The rest of the guys you already know for the Jays. Dangerous time in Beantown. White flag, not yet. Rays take 2 out of 3 from the Tigers. And the White Sox and Guardians, they hosted a UFC fight. Jake Paul was there, I think. Let's talk about it. Let's talk what happened in the American League.
Good shot, Poppy.
Your American League East standings as we sit here on August the 7th. August 7th. The Baltimore Orioles have the best record in the American League at 70-42. The Rays are 3 games back. Toronto, 7.5 back. Yankees and Boston having a mid-off down at the bottom of the AL East. The Minnesota Twinkies, we'll hear about them in the IL. A 4.5 game lead over the Cleveland Guard Dogs. Whoa. Detroit, the White Sox and Royals. I don't know, fellas. The Texas Rangers lead the AL East 2.5 games up on Houston. Seattle is 6 games back. Okay. The Angels are 10.5 games back, a game below 500. Oakland is there as well. And you should probably, it's a time of year we need to talk wild card, right? The wild card in the East, Tampa, Houston, Toronto is your last team in. Seattle is 2.5 back. The Yankees are 4.5 back. Boston 5. The Angels 7. Oh boy, Trevor Goof. Cronpod has us going out west, and it's the Seattle Mariners sweeping the Angels. These are 2 teams we've been talking about a lot. There's been some hype. There's been hype and hope, and now one doesn't have a lot of hope, and the other kind of has both.
This was, oh, man. When the Angels, I want to start with the Angels, I guess. We'll give the Mariners their credit in a sec. When they decided not to trade Ohtani and they kind of started to bring guys in, they go get Lucas Giolito, they get Lopez, they bring in the other guys earlier on. They made a bunch of moves. We were happy. We said, this is a great way for Artie Moreno and the front office to have just legit PR. No matter what happens, hey, they went for it. You can't take that away from them. But now I'm thinking, if you just lose every game after the trade deadline and then you still have Shohei and nothing to show for it, that might be worse than trading Shohei. I don't know, man. It's becoming worst case scenario, I guess, out there in Anaheim, because we haven't won a game since the trade deadline. We're this far back with this many teams to jump. I mean, it's looking grim out there, man. And all my Angels fans that I follow on social media, they're feeling it bad. I don't want to pile on, but dang, man, I thought that there was no way that the Angels could look bad for them after they decided to go for it, but it looks horrible right now. And the Mariners, you got to give them credit for coming in and doing it. I mean, the first game sets the tone. Maybe things are different in this series, but you got forearms there. Cade Marlowe coming up, taking a 100-mile-an-hour heater at the top of the zone and saying, I'm going to put in the seats.
Yeah.
You start a series off like that when you got your best reliever on the hill and he gets beat by a rookie, a grand slam. You're up 3-1. All of a sudden, you're down 5-3, and it's game over. And that set the tone, man. It's tough out there right now. But for Mariners fans and the Mariners in general, I mean, they're going there. You said they're 2.5 games back the wild card right now. They got guys going. We knew the pitching was fine. It was about the offense getting going. Suarez has a really good series here. You're right. Kirby dominated. It's just two teams going in opposite directions, man. And the Mariners kind of look like geniuses for trading Paul Sewell because they sold high and he's looked bad for the Diamondbacks.
Well,
So
he ran into the Minnesota Twins. We'll get
the
there.
buzzsaw.
There was a lot of good tweets on Diamondbacks Twitter that was like, wow, Paul Sewald he's definitely a Diamondbacks closer now. So that was a little chummy. I'll put a tight bow on the Angels because I think they're putting bows on themselves at this point. Brutal. I mean, absolute worst case scenario, and even worst case than you can imagine. Their playoff percentages on Fangraphs right now is 2.2%. I mean, it's crushing, man. It's crushing, and they not even to look ahead because you just got to win each day at this point. But you know they're playing the Giants. Okay, 3 games. Sandoval, Giolito, Ohtani. That's what you want. Then they go road trip Houston, Texas. So it's things are grim, man. Things are grim. So I'm sorry to all the Halo fans because right now is not the time to twist the knife. But I said it before the season because I got burnt by them last year because they got off to the hot start and you look at the talent, but something is organizationally off, or it's also just an awful time to be in the AL West. Like we'll talk Houston in a minute. I think they're back to being the favorites in the AL, and this Seattle franchise kind of rebuilt for where they're at now. Throw that in with a Texas Rangers kicker, and now I'm giving them too many excuses, but tough times in Anaheim. But let's give some love to the Mariners because Trev, you've been on it. You saw him in person. The hitting needed to go. I guess their team hitting numbers are starting to get to a better spot. There's a lot of stuff with the pitching numbers to like that. Man, they needed a little bit of the sauce, and it feels like it's happening.
Julio had a really good series.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the main cog there that hadn't been going, during the beginning parts of the season. He has a couple good games here. We mentioned Suarez already, Teoscar Hernandez too. It's like they have the pieces there. It's about, and we can say this about a lot of teams, but I feel more comfortable with some of the hitters in this lineup getting it going. You know, it's August 7th. I know you could say, well, dude, like it's a little bit too late. I don't know if it is. With the pitching being able to keep them in games, like pretty much every game the Mariners are going to be in for the most part.
Right.
It's about the hitting coming through in timely fashion and putting up some cricket numbers, getting the big hit when they need to. If they can do that, I mean, they're right there, dude.
Trev, and
I want to go back to Shohei. I just real quick. We need to be real tight here because I feel like I'm going to say something that's going to make people mad. I don't want to make people mad. I'm just thinking realistically,
right,
logically. You're Shohei Ohtani. You have a more than $500 million payday coming your way. Right?
Yep.
Like more than $500 million coming your way. Everything you've ever worked for in your life, like you've accomplished so much already, but this is your free agent in the big leagues. You're starting to get some cramps in the hand. You've held your back a few different times in this series. If your team is how far out of the wild card? 7 games?
Yeah, I think it might even be more. Let me double check. 7 games. 2-8 in their last 10. L6.
Bear with me here. I think you know what I'm going to say. At what point do you just kind of say, all right, like I'm going to pump the brakes on pretty much everything I'm doing? Like maybe I need some off days. Maybe I need a stint. I don't want my back to flare up too bad. Maybe I need a stint on the IL. I'm not saying he's going to give up on the season. Please don't turn this into that. I'm just saying, you got to be cautious. If there's nothing to play for here, and you're getting that sense, you can be a little selfish.
Trev, it's a fantastic point because I guess the thing my brain jumped to at least is the pitching side. Like, hitting and running the bases, like, you can obviously get hurt. It's a sport. But pitching-wise, that's where the high risk can come in, that there's, knock on wood, there's injuries that could change that number, like, a little bit. Like, offensively, there really isn't. Like, you can get banged up and stuff can happen. And I know there's obviously 1% outliers and stuff like that. But, yeah, if the wheels start to fall off and I'm Shohei's camp, I'm saying, like, hey, you've done it on the bump this year. Like, if you want to keep swinging and try to go for 55, 60, 62, like, knock yourself out. But, that has to be a real conversation.
And Ohtani, I don't know. I mean, look, I am not speaking for him. I haven't heard anything. And he might just say, dude, you're a loser. Shut up. I'll never do that.
Right. He would say that to you.
He probably would. But I'm just thinking out loud here. I mean, come on, man. Like, you got to put yourself in his shoes.
And Trev, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm the players in that clubhouse, and again, Houston, they're playing Houston and they're playing the Texas Rangers, and hey, maybe they rope-a-dope us and they win a 6 straight and they're back in the mix.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like that. These guys, Lucas Giolito very well. Malibu Mike very well. Like, let's say it gets worse. And Shohei does that. Guys would respect it, no? Like you said, you've worked your entire life to get to this point, and he is going to be the MVP. He's done something that we've never seen before. I think if you're a guy in that clubhouse, you're kind of like, hey, man, like, I understand you're a competitor, and this is probably a tough decision, but it's the right decision for you, and we as a whole haven't done enough to say no to that.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no one that's going to – he's earned everyone's respect.
Right.
So his decision will be his decision, and, yeah, people will – I hope it doesn't come down to that, but I think in my mind it might. We might see some like, hey, I might skip a start. I might do this, do that. I didn't want to have to go there, but I just think that that's a realistic scenario where that happens, and how quickly it came, man. Like we were just talking about, like, dude, Trout and Shohei, we're going to get a chance here. Like the Angels were going, they make the moves. I mean, they were one of the most aggressive teams at the trade deadline. We were giving them snaps for that. And then, they roll off this L6 and it puts them in a spot where it's very, very unlikely that anything happens, man. So hey, can we end on a good note for the Angels though?
Maybe.
Chase, Silseth.
Nice.
Great start.
Oh,
it was
great.
nasty. 12 Ks and 7 innings pitched.
Great.
You lost the game, but it was he looked really good.
I'll now twist the knife real quick. Farm is depleted. If I'm Mike Trout after the year, we're going to have plenty of time to do that. We'll have plenty of time to do that.
Long off season.
We'll have plenty of time to do that. Mariners, and your guy Jolly Olive brought it up last episode. Not only are they going now, I think they have 7 versus the Athletics the rest of the way, and I think they have 6 versus the Royals. So, like, there's 13 games that you could put up a 10-3 pretty easily. Hell,
very realistically,
you could put up, if we're being honest, 12-1 could happen. The Mariners are fully in play. And that should be scary a little bit for the West. I think for the final wild card spot, whether you're the Jays, if you're the Yankees and you think you're currently involved, go Mariners, go. Because before the season, I thought they might be Houston's number one competitor, and And I did have some Astros fans on Twitter as of last week being like, "Oh yeah, they really were," and they still have a chance. By the way,
yeah, they got Padres, Orioles coming up, so that'll be a big test for the Mariners. To keep it going.
2-gamer, couple off days, survive that, and then I think it's Royals A's season. I guess it's Cronpod, but I want to talk about the fight. I know a lot of people are probably here for the fight. I'll do Yankees quick. Yankees are at a point of their season where they need to start winning a lot of games if they want to be a part of this season. They split 4 with Houston. That final game, Rodon's on the bump. He needs a signature moment. He gets hit and then leaves with injury. The Yankees in the game they lost, Severino starts. He's been getting crushed. And then they use the 2 last guys in their bullpen, and Judge sits that game. And it's like, you're going to lose that game. The 2 games they won were Yankee survival games, 3-1, 4-3. That's how they win games this year because the offense doesn't go. And when it does go in that final game that could have given Yankee fans just a little glimmer of hope, they had a couple big at-bats in the, I think, 6th, 8th, and 9th 6th, 7th, and 8th. Bases loaded, runners on 2nd and 3rd, and they couldn't get the final hit to get there that could give Yankee fans some hope. So, it's a 4-game split, which a lot of times we don't harp big on those series. Nestor comes back, which is good. Jordan and Kyle Tucker looked really good. And then, when Jake Myers in the 8-hole gives you a 2-homer, 6 RBI day, that's a special performance. JV makes his debut, so I don't know if I have much to add to that besides our Talkin' Yanks episode. So if you got something, Trev, or
we can go quick on it because there's a lot of things we want to discuss. But we were talking before the show how the Astros are in such a good spot, and they had been kind of piecing together different starters, trying to figure out the rotation as they're dealing with injuries, and all of a sudden we look up and they got 6 guys that can do it. 6 guys that you're like, dang, like this is going to be a rotation not to mess with. You got Framber, you got Javier, you got Hunter Brown, then you bring in Verlander, Urquidy's back, and France has been great. So we're talking about like legit 6, maybe 7 dudes who can take the ball at any given time and win you baseball games. Then the lineup's getting healthy. I mean, this team is one of the scarier teams in August, September, into the postseason. Obviously, we'll talk about the Rangers. They're dealing with injuries now.
Yeah,
to a bunch of their core players.
Yeah,
they're on a 6-game heater. We'll get to it, but I think the Astros are exactly where they need to be right now. And what's going on? I don't know if you heard about this, but I follow some Astros fans on Twitter, believe it or not, or on X, excuse me.
Thank you.
Believe it or not.
Thank you.
Sorry, Elon. Are you Elon Musk?
I'm Musk.
You're Musk. Does Verlander have a personal center fielder in Mauricio Dubon? Is that like something that's happening? I read that, and can we like dig into that somehow?
We can have a follow-up or comment below. I'm not fully sure. It did lead to one of the highlights of the season with Giancarlo Stanton getting thrown out at home.
I guess we got to talk about that
by a lot.
Can I give you my take and then you tell me if I'm wrong?
Please.
He's clearly nursing something or scared to run hard. Like that's
scared
it, right?
to run hard.
And Boone says he's 100% healthy, but he's not. So like what you're gonna talk to Boone tomorrow, right?
You really want to do this? Yes.
Just real quick. Why can't he just say Big G is nursing something, and there are times where he is not going to be able to run hard, and we have to just deal with that if we want him in the lineup? Why can't he just say that?
Trev,
everybody fucking knows it.
The 2 most hands-off teams in baseball are the Chicago White Sox and the New York Yankees. The White Sox fell apart for this because they don't manage their team at all, and the Yankees are like, oh, if you're a veteran, you know what to do. Go out there. Boone has no idea if Stanton's healthy or hurt. He has no clue. Anthony Rizzo had concussion symptoms for over 2 months, and they didn't acknowledge it. The organization's in an awful spot Domingo Germán got kicked off the team for getting drunk in the clubhouse this week. Jose Trevino had a wrist injury from spring training that he played through the end of July with. The organization does not communicate, and it's failing.
Lost in last week's shuffle, Josh Donaldson mocked the team by being like, I am fine.
Took batting practice on the field after
Ran
getting
around on the
60-day
field.
IL'd.
2 weeks into a 60-day. I'm fine. They didn't have that conversation
Because
with me.
he hasn't been good, so they just buried that one. Can I say something about the team that matters in this series, the Houston Astros?
Sure.
Trev, you mentioned their starting pitching. The guys in the lineup, you know, everyone knows with the Houston Astros. I'm going to name everyone in their bullpen who's not JP France, who was their long man that threw 70 pitches the other day. This is everyone in Houston's bullpen, and let me ask you if they've pitched an important playoff inning in recent years. This is every member in the Houston bullpen not named JP France. Ryan Presley, yes. Hector Neris, yes. Brian Abreu, yes. Kendall Graveman, yes. Phil Maton, yes. Ryan Stanek, yes. Rafael Montero, yes. That's everyone. There's not a Jake Stromboli after that who gets the mop-up innings. That's everyone. They are your AL favorites.
They are your AL favorites. We need to get someone leave a comment in the chat about Mauricio Dubon and Justin Verlander.
Hot. Both of them. Trevor, the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah.
They sweep the Boston Red Sox. They improve their standings as the final wild card team. I believe the Boston Red Sox were 7-0 against the Blue Jays this year, which was part of each of those teams' storylines. The Blue Jays had a horrific record against basically all the AL East. They come in with the broomsticks, and Boston's season, you know, we wondered what they were going to do at the deadline. They pretty much stood pat. And now, again, a week later, and as a Yankee fan, we're basically sitting in the same spot. They get swept by the Blue Jays, and it feels like the culmination. And our guy Carabas waved the white flag and said the Red Sox season is dead. That second game, fly ball to deep left field. We're playing monster ball. Game-ending double play, man. That was tough to watch.
I didn't understand that one at all. I mean, that's just not the base running play. Like, if the ball hits off the monster, you're going to score. Get off far enough that you can get back to second base. That's it. That's a simple base running play. Like that, I forget stuff about baseball. Some of like the nuances of the base running from time to time. Like, oh yeah, what do you do? Like, where's the cutoff man? You know, I haven't played in a while. Everybody knows that one. Everybody. You get off far enough where you can get back to second base. You're going to score. That ball hits off the freaking wall, bro. You're going to score from there. So that was interesting. There was the Verdugo thing going on. I can speak a little bit to that 2 hours before the game. No good. Now, there are times where, you know, maybe he needed to do something or he got held up. And if you just give the old manager a call or a text, you're fine. It doesn't matter. Like, you're fine. Like, you just give him a heads up. A guy like Verdugo look, man, like, he's a veteran. Like, there are certain things a veteran can do that a young guy can't do. Text the manager and say, hey, bro, I'll be there. I'm just going to be a little late. I got some stuff going on. If there's a real reason.
Right.
You know, but it seems like that didn't happen. He gets benched. There's a little bit of stuff going on there. Yeah, I mean, the Blue Jays come into town. I mean, Manoah has a quality start against you. Like, snaps from Manoah. Barrios.
He's been lights out.
Does his thing. Yeah, he's been really good. In July, he was really, really good. Does enough here. And then, you know, Boston's like dealing with their own pitching stuff. They had 2 openers in this series. Like, they're trying to figure it out. Trevor Story is coming back on Thursday, I believe. Chris Sale made his last rehab start. They got Houck and Whitlock close. Like, is it too late for all of this, though? I mean,
the Yankees and Red Sox are both on life support. Like
the Twins have a better record than both the Yankees and the Red Sox. Boom, roasted.
Thank you. Verdugo, yeah, I was wondering if I was going to have any defense for him. He's 27 now, which that kind of clears my, you can be young up through like 25, sometimes 26, but he also has a kicker. Like, this dude made his debut in the show in 2017. Like, you gotta know, 2017. You can't do that. So yeah, and interested to see what the next steps for the Red Sox are. I mentioned Davis Schneider. He's a kid that comes up. I think he's their 29th ranked prospect. He has a historic debut. You will hear more about him later, Toronto fans. And then, yeah, I mean, the other guys that do it in the box score, George Springer had a 4-for-4 day in that second game. Varsho, Chapman, Vladdy. I think, man, I don't know. I don't want to be too cheesy because it's very easy for us to be like, oh, dude, I got to tell you what, bro. I love this Houston team. I love this Texas team. Seattle's really nice. Toronto's really good too. One of them is probably going to be out of the playoffs. So I was just about to say, like, I really love what Toronto is about, and I do. There's obvious reasons, but man, in the AL, a good team is going to miss the playoffs. In the NL, it's starting to look a little funkier for the wild card. But I don't know. Toronto needed this.
You're out on the Yankees. Carabas is out on the Red Sox.
Not in on the Yankees.
You're not out, but you're not in.
It's on pause. That's what we said on Talkin' Yanks.
Yankees are on pause. Mariners are the closest at 2.5. They're on a 5-game heater. Toronto's holding the 3rd spot in the wild card. Houston's got a 1-game lead on Toronto. They're going to be there. We all assume Tampa will continue to be there. They got some stuff going on. They haven't played their best ball as of late. So yeah, it's Toronto, Seattle, Yankees, Boston. One of those teams is going to be the 3. The other are going to go home. That's going to be great. I mean, I hope that the Yankees and Boston kind of like kick it into gear here and give us a real fight at the end of the season. And same with the Mariners. This is so fun, dude. I love when it comes down to it and we see the teams start to separate themselves. We're going to have some teams that we're going to call dead, and then we're going to have some teams that kind of come out of nowhere. It's my favorite time of the season, man.
Yeah, I think the AL is going to give us some goods. Rays Tigers fans, going to be honest with you, don't have a ton on it. Rays took 2 out of 3. That's kind of what you'd expect going into that series. The other series, again, I don't know what the baseball will mean anymore. Guardians.
It doesn't mean anything. These teams both gave up. They both waved the white flag. Yes, the Guardians did too. I talked to Chris Rose about this before we get to the fight. I'm so disappointed. I don't understand.
Thank you.
And make me understand somebody, because Chris Rose tried to last night when we recorded baseball today. He didn't. You trade Savali. You get one of the better prospects in baseball. Okay, great. Good for you. Go check out the top prospects that make their debuts and how many are impactful players. It's a small percentage, okay? Hopefully this guy turns into a stud. I don't even know anything about his game. I hope he's great. But we know the numbers. Savali, gone. He's been an excellent pitcher for them this year. You trade him away. You're like a game out of the Central at this point. You trade him away. You trade Josh Bell away. I get you have some guys that you want to see, and he hasn't performed that great. You get rid of the money, whatever it may be. You're giving away top players here. You're having auditions at shortstop, at the end of the year. You have a bunch of guys about to hit innings limits that aren't going to be able to pitch into September and in the playoffs. So you're looking at all this and you're saying, you know what? Even though we're 1 game out, we don't have enough and we have these innings limits. Fuck that, dude. Like, how do you know what's going to happen in the game of baseball? Like you look at your roster and you say, oh, we're just not good enough to this is what Chris Rose told me. We looked at the roster, they're not good enough to compete and really go far into the playoffs. How do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know that, dude? Like this is why you play the game. How many times do we say that on this show? Like, I'm so upset with the Guardians for they're 4.5 games back of the Central now, just like that. And the Twins didn't do anything to. Sure, they swept the Diamondbacks, but it's just baseball. They didn't do anything to really improve their club. They stood pat and got better because of it, because you gave away players. And you're not trying to win because your guys have innings limits. We got to stop with this, dude. I'm sorry. We got to figure out a better way to limit our innings. If you want to do it, these guys shouldn't debut until June. If you're in that clubhouse and you're sitting one game back of the Central, and then all of a sudden you look ahead and the front office is telling you, hey, you're not going to pitch past August 20th because of your innings limits. You're like, what are we doing here? Why are we even what's the franchise about, dude? We're trying to win and get into the playoffs. Like, that's what baseball is about. And now you're telling me we can't because what?
Yeah.
These guys can't throw anymore? Why were they up in April if we knew they couldn't throw past August? It doesn't make any sense to me, and it would piss me off so much if I was a player in that room. Like, Jose Ramirez deserves better than that, dude. He does.
I agree with you. And yeah, the only thing I'll throw out there, and if you remember, like, I was on this Guardians management hate train, and then, I don't know, they were young and good and made the playoffs. I will say, looking at their IL right now, Shane Bieber, Tristan McKenzie, Cal Quantrill, like, I know those are guys that they would ideally have throw a lot of innings for them. But when you trade away Savali, like, that's this year's hater, I think. Like, I think that was the final blow to the clubhouse. Like, wait, like, basically our most reliable starting pitcher that's left on the staff when we have all of these young guys with limits. You are kind of ending the season. And yeah, Trev, I think it's currently a miss with analytics, and that's, baseball's sexy word that people misuse, that and I'm sorry I have to reference the Yankees game, but yesterday they didn't pitch Tommy Kahnle, and they said, well, we were going to save him for extras if we needed it. And they left Wandy Peralta in for too long, and he got roughed up. And it's like, well, and Boone's quote was, I don't know if we're going to get to if we were going to get to the finish line in this game. Well, you got to the finish line of the game, but you lost. And pretty much what you're referencing with the Guardians is like, well, we'll get to the finish line of this season, but you're going to lose. And that's a massive disconnect. That's a massive disconnect.
How do you ever try to rally the troops, with these guys, if you're just saying, oh, we lost some players, season's over?
Yeah.
It's August 7th.
Yeah.
Like, you still got 6 weeks of baseball, 7 weeks of baseball to be played in front of you, and you've waved the white flag.
And the division was
one game.
The division was very much there.
Like, how about this? If these guys can't throw and you're going to shut them down now. Shut them down and get some guys up to the big leagues that can throw.
Yeah.
Guess what? There's people in AAA that would love the opportunity to throw at the big league level. So give them the chance and see and see what happens. I don't know. Or do something other than waving the white flag at the trade deadline when you're one game back. I can't. I
mean, they got Syndergaard. Trev, let's do the fight because it's the biggest fight in recent baseball history. I mean, the only thing that's on its level is Odor Batista, pretty much. That famous punch and screenshot, and the way it happened for us. I mentioned we were having a big floorball tournament this weekend, and kind of basically everyone gets the notification on their phone, like, fight. Everyone brings it up, and then everyone goes, holy shit, because Tim Anderson squares up, drops his glove, puts him up. Jose Ramirez obliges. He throws him up. Umpire says, all right, I'm out. See you later.
It's like,
couple ugly baseball player swings, if we're being honest. And then right when it looks like that the whole crowd is going to get there and this will just end like a normal baseball fight, Jose Ramirez catches him with the right. Tim Anderson drops. We get wobbly steps coming off the field. We were getting wobbly tweets or X's. Trev, I don't know. I know you already talked about this on Baseball Today. I know the John Boy breakdown is coming. I don't know, something that's going to be remembered in like genuine baseball history. Like think of every baseball fan knows Odor Batista. This Jose Ramirez, Hosey, down goes Anderson is going to be remembered for a long time.
I think we start there with the call. Beavers, can you get the guys the
radio?
The names? I want to give him some credit because it was an unbelievable call when he goes, down goes Anderson, down goes Anderson. What? I mean, it was
Tom Hamilton.
Cheers to you, bro. You crushed it.
Yeah.
You crushed it. That's going to be the audio to the clip forever. So good job. I feel so many different ways about this fight. I think that, Jose Ramirez, in my opinion, started this fight. I know Tim Anderson threw the gloves down, but if you're getting in my face with the fingers, I don't like that.
That was the point of escalation.
Like, you can't.
Yeah.
Like if you're a guy and some dude comes and starts getting in your face, I mean, that'll get it going. So yes, Tim did drop because I didn't think his punches looked that bad. He did square up southpaw and threw some rights, which wasn't
right
what you wanted. And then old man Dan had his breakdown on the fight, but I thought the punches were okay. Did he miss them? Yes. I had Tim's back and I tweeted that out last night. I said, man, I got your back. And that was before he started going off on all his other tweets. But I just felt bad for the guy because I know he's just getting worn out.
Yeah.
Absolutely worn out by a bunch of dudes saying, you're a sissy, you're all this. Like, first of all, no, you're not saying that to Tim Anderson's face. Second of all, go ahead and get in a brawl. When there's that many people around you and you're swinging like that, like, you can get clipped easily. Like, that's something that it happens in brawls. So, like, as bad as it looks and he's going to have to wear this for a long time, in my mind, I'm like, hey, man, it happens. Like, I wouldn't worry about it too much because, like I said, once you get into a brawl, it's mayhem, dude. Shit's coming out from everywhere. I mean, Jose Ramirez threw that blind and just clipped him. As Kopech had him by the throat. Like that, my main takeaway is, okay, sure, like Jose, dude, you did your thing. Like you look like a freaking hero, and I love the way he handled the post-game presser. We'll talk about him in a little bit more here, but Kopech, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, that's the guy, when everyone goes back and watches the footage, I think they're going to be like, dude, you could have like saved Tim Henderson the embarrassment. You had this guy and you didn't do enough to bring him down. There was like 4 White Sox players there and it was just Hosey.
Yeah.
So he didn't do his job, and then he connects and then he like lets go of him.
Yeah.
Bro, you gotta do whatever you can there in that situation. I don't know. I thought that looked a little sketch, to be honest, but I don't know, man. It was a real deal fight, and we always talk about guys not squaring up in these brawls. We laugh, we call them brawls, but they're never brawls. These two dudes squared up, and sometimes there's going to be a winner and a loser of that fight, and we know who won and who lost this one.
Everyone's ragging on TA, and there's some good arguments there. I mean, he got dropped literally on the field. Man, I don't know how much all this factored in, but I just want to walk people through it. Tim Anderson, 2019, wins the batting title. Like, it's a big year for him. His seasons before that were, rough around the edges. Kind of breaks out, wins the batting title. Next year, shortened season, MVP 7th. I know it's shorty season, but Tim Anderson, became a bona fide dude in this league. Next 2 years, back-to-back All-Star games, 21, 22. Hit 300 in both of those seasons. This year, he had a team option for next year. He has been one of the worst players in baseball, just statistically. Minus 1.6 WAR, 576 OPS. A lot of the baseball savant type numbers have never been a huge fan. That his $14 million team option for next year probably isn't getting picked up. And it's one of those baseball things that a team will give him a chance next year. Absolutely. He's got a track record. But, we talk about baseball free agency and earning your shot a lot. That, man, Tim Anderson's going to have to do a 1-year deal somewhere and basically have his career on the line. And he's smart enough, like that's in his head, that the White Sox season is over, and he probably thought he was going to get traded somewhere and hopefully get a shot of life with like the Dodgers. Like, I bet those trade rumors were in his ear. And instead, now he's getting knocked out by Jose Ramirez on the middle of the field, and his teammates could have held him out more. And, a guy that was like a badass dude like Tim Anderson from the South, batting title championship. That's how a lot of people are going to remember him, man. And that's, there's some levels of fucked on that.
Yeah, and Ramirez, I mean, he didn't speak, or Anderson didn't speak after the game, which, whether he was dealing with some concussion stuff or not, I'm not sure. Grifol, who he spoke a little bit, didn't really say, he said, let the league handle this. So nobody from the White Sox side spoke on it, which I think is brutal. Terry Francona got in front of the mic, talked about it. Jose Ramirez talked about it and did it as good as you could do it. Really wasn't hyping the fight up. He just knocked the dude out. You could be on your high horse a little bit when you knock someone down like that in front of everybody. Like you can get on your high horse and be like, yeah, hey, you squared up. I had to show him what's up. He didn't say any of that.
Yeah.
He just said, hey, man, like he's been disrespecting the game. He was talking smack to Gabriel Arias earlier that day. The night before, he pushes the rookie's hand off of the base and gets the call. He's Jose's basically saying he's been tagging people like too hard, too aggressively. He doesn't need to be doing that. So he kind of like went after his character a little bit and said he was just defending himself. It's did you see what your guy, Middleton.
Yeah.
Said about the White Sox.
I was just going to go there. Keenan Middleton, the Yankees trade
Holy
deadline
shit.
piece, who's, by the way, he was on the Angels, the Mariners, the Snakes, the White Sox, and the Yankees. So his fifth organization, and he's, a free agent after the season, so, he could keep it moving and not have to say much. He said that the White Sox are a mess, that guys didn't show up for PFPs. Guys were skipping team meetings. There's no responsibility. There was no anything. And, yeah. When it came out they hired La Russa a couple years back, remember everyone's reaction? Like,
he's dead?
I very much believe in top-down organizations. I saw it in my previous life. I've seen it in sports. I see it. I don't know, man. White Sox haven't seemed to be the best-run franchise. Angels, I hate to bring you back in the mix. Sports teams with long histories of failure. I do think there is a connection to the top. And do with that what you want. But man, oh man.
He like didn't hold back anything.
No.
He said it's I don't know, he didn't say circus, but essentially he said it's a circus over there, guys sleeping in the bullpen. You mentioned missing PFPs and just kind of being on your own program. I like never was part of an organization that was like that. Like every organization that I played for was like, dude, you knew, I mean, and I was not that type of player that would take advantage of any of the situations. Like I had to be on time. I had to work hard because that's just, if you don't have, and now I'm sounding humble.
Can't.
Now I'm sounding humble for the first time on this show. Like if you have, you don't have the extra talent, you got to just do all the little things right. You got to respect, the game and the schedule and all that. So when we hear stuff like this about an organization, I'm like, it can't be that bad, man. Come on. Like how bad can it be? It's the big leagues, bro. Like the responsibility is there, but apparently it's been a joke there. It's been a joke. I feel bad for every single player that has to play on that team because you are wasting time. And this is your window, your small window to, make your mark on the big leagues and try to stay, and all of a sudden you're in this organization that has just not helped you at all. I feel for him, man. I really do. And the players have to take some responsibility too. Like there needs to be some leaders in that clubhouse saying some things, and apparently they've been void of that.
That was the funniest part about Keenan's quotes for me. He was like, and by the way, like, you know, the pitchers, we kind of did our thing, like we were good, but the other guys, not so much.
Think who's the leader in the clubhouse of the White Sox as far as position players?
Tim Anderson, no?
Tim Anderson. I mean, I guess Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez.
Used to be Jose Abreu, but
it used to be Abreu
this year.
Yeah, man, I don't know. For me, it just seems so obvious that, like, you should have rules and oblige by them, and loopholes do develop. Like, there are superstar rules. We've seen that in every sport. Or, you know, if you have old Bartolo or old CeCe on your team, they might not be running the same amount of polls as the other pitchers, but they've earned that. Everyone in the clubhouse can respect that. But to have no rules, like there's a couple orgs that I think when they were like, how can we become the best? And we'll go at full analytical and we'll let players be happy. Players play better when they're happy, so we'll give them no rules. That just don't work. It's never worked. Whew.
Promise me 100 times you'll never do anything that's a rule.
White Sox take 2 out of 3.
By the way, Keenan Middleton in Chicago tonight.
Yeah. Reunion.
Yanks in town.
Ooh, that could be fun, huh? Trev, that's...
You think he'll get cheered or booed? Seriously, by White
cheered.
Sox fans.
Applauded. Baseball fans...
I think so, too.
Baseball fans are pretty good, and I know you're talking about that in a little bit, Trevor. And another reason baseball fans are good, because they buy some shirts from our store, the John Boy Media Store. Trev has his shirt. Is that your favorite shirt now, Trev? The All-Star Bo
love this
Bichette?
shirt.
You wear that everywhere.
I love Bo
I
Bichette.
watched you receive it, and I've seen you wearing it like 4 times since.
Yeah.
And it's not a lot of days.
Oh, it's a great shirt.
By the way, I'm going to sneak this, my tie-dye I bust out. This is a John Boy Media shirt. We've got Ohtani. We've got shirts for your favorite team. The Chaos Orioles shirt has been going. Whoever you're into, go check it out at the JM store. Buy yourself a piece of gear. It supports us, and it supports the players. Trev, we're with the PA. Your hand is up.
I want to let people know we've changed our blanks, like the actual T-shirts that we use. So if you bought one from us way back when, they're different now, and in my opinion, they are so much better. This is like a real deal, high quality shirt. So keep that in mind.
Okay. Trev,
Agree.
I might double burn the NL and the IL because we're an hour deep right now, Papo. And we got to talk some ball. So I mean,
11:11 Eastern right now. Okay.
Oh, make a fish. Trev, your Dodgers versus my Padres. And the Dodgers, they have taken 2 out of 3. They are playing today to finish up what'll be a 4-game set. Boy, that first game, Dodgers, 10-5 final. James Outman have a day at the office. David Peralta, man, looking like a corner outfield value. That's coming from a jealous Yankees fan. In the second game, the Padres do win. Juan Soto and Jake Cronenworth, Manny Machado, 2 for 4, Homer. All those guys went 2 for 4. How do you like that? And then, hello, Sunday Night Baseball, ump cam, Freddie Freeman taking Rich Hill deep, wet. Kike has a big day, too, 8-2. Gary Sanchez, he's hitting more homers than every catcher since he was invited to San Diego. That's fun. Let's see what happens on the final game today. The Brew Crew and the Pirates, they split for Brewers, Pirates. That's how the series went. Mitch Keller's been getting knocked around since the All-Star break. We hate that. Johan Oviedo with a big start for the Pirates in the final game to end up splitting the series. A lot of the young guns for Milwaukee, Frelick, Terang, and Weimer in that first one. Christian Yelich was on Rose rotation last week, just being sexy and cool. That was a good listen. Yelich makes me laugh. He's a sweet fella. Cubs, they take 2 out of 3 from the Braves, and they stay hot, man, after losing that first game to Max Fried. Might hear more about him later. They win the next 2. Cody Bellinger, Jamer Candelario, Ian Happ homers. And then how are your lefties, Belly and Talkman? Dansby Swanson survives a cup check from Ronald Acuna Jr. Cubbies stay hot. Boy, oh boy, are they in the mix. Wait till you hear where they are at in the standings. Basically the opposite of what the Halos have done. Nationals sweep the Reds, and maybe Cincinnati's first what is we doing, baby. Some sloppy defense. Patty Corbin and Jonah Doan drop it on them. Lane Thomas becoming the face of the franchise. He has a 2-homer day. Follows that up with a 2-ribby, 2-steal day. Is he a guy? Might be. CJ Abrams. We love him. We love him. He might be figuring it out down there. Reds fans getting a little panicked. Yellow flag. Cardinals and Rockies played baseball. In the Interleague, Rangers, they sweep the Marlins. A little oh boy for the fish, and a little yeah. That's what the Rangers can do for you, including that crazy 9-8 game in the middle. Thick neck Josh Young with the homer, but he gets injured in this series. And I think it's a thumb, which that can be a tough injury for ball players. Adolis Garcia, you're going to hear me talk about him in a little bit because, man, is that a guy. Sandy, who had been on a streak of hot starts, he gets hit. Andrew Heaney, the Heen Dog, he is on a bit of a heater right now. We love that for him. Monty looks good for the Texas Rangers coming off the trade deadline. Texas, good. Marlins, worrisome. Analytics. Twins sweep the Diamondbacks. I don't think we'll hear about that series. Matt Wallner, 2-run homer. That's all you need to know. Keuchel, how about that, Trev? Did you say hi to your guy? We're actually going to talk about that series, so there you go. Snakes, we're fine. Don't even worry about it. Orioles sweep the Mets. Mets have not won since the deadline. Orioles sweep them. Kyle was being bratish on that last day. Gibby goes 7 innings. Jordan Westberg. James McCann has a great day at the office. Royals, Phillies. You're going to hear about those Phillies. Something from the crowd we haven't seen in a long time. No, Beebs, you could stop the music because then the Giants played Oakland too. So, what?
What?
Your standings.
Yeah.
The Atlanta Braves, 70-39. They have a 10.5 game lead on the Phillies. The Phillies are up 3.5 on Miami. The Mets, L6. Marlins, L4. Nats, W4. I've got a fun fact about that. The National League Central is going to be a real treat the rest of the way. The Brewers, 60-53 on top. Your second place Chicago Cubs, 58-54. They are tied with the Reds at 59-55, both a game and a half back. L6 for Cincy. Ellie De La Cruz should be an all-star. Pittsburgh drifting. St. Louis, your second worst record in the National League at 49-64. Baseball, huh? Dodgers, 64-46. San Francisco, they dropped a couple to the Athletics. What are we doing, fellas? 61-51. Snakes, 57-56. L6 in the column. 2-8 in their last 10. Poppy's coming Friday to save the season. San Diego Padres are 55-57. They're staying alive a little bit. Rockies, no bueno outside of Cole Tucker. What you need to know about the wild card, if the playoffs started today, the Cubbies would be in the dance as your last wild card. San Fran and Philly ahead of them. Again, the Cubs and Cincy are essentially tied. Miami is a half game back. The Snakes are a game and a half back. The San Diego Padres are 3 games back. Just note it. Just note it. They still need to get the sauce, but just note it. Trevor Goof. Where are we dropping, boys?
Let's just start off with the Giants, get it out of the way, because Giants fans always are mad that we don't talk about it. They did lose 2 to the A's. Why didn't they play a Friday game? Am I missing something here?
Partying. Bay Area.
Has there ever been a chance has there ever been a scenario where there's been Fridays off in the big leagues?
They've started mixing that in the past couple years.
I think a lot of London series they've like gotten there, and then it's a 2-gamer.
I know, like it's like the 2-game with your rivalry.
Like but
whatever.
Yeah.
Your regional rivalry. Okay. Casey Schmidt, who that everyone was shoving down our throats, he got optioned to the minor leagues. But I do.
They were shoving.
But I will say this about the Giants before we move on to other teams. It's been impressive. You kind of have to give Kapler and their pitching staff just credit. I mean, they've been running like 2 starters out and then piggybacking, bullpen games, all sorts of stuff, navigating through that like a broken rotation. And they're still firmly entrenched in a wild card spot. So you kind of have to give some snaps to them, even though you just took 2 L's to the A's. It's pretty impressive.
Tyro's back. That'll get me snaps. Trev, let's stay out left. Padres, Dodgers, they're finishing it today. So if it is a 4-game split, whatever. If the Dodgers take 3 out of 4, that's not surprising. Although Padres fans have a little bit of hope. I don't know. Lance Lynn, 6 innings, 1 earned run. Yep. Frederick in that last game. Yep.
He's ridiculous.
What do you have?
I got that I love watching these 2 teams play baseball against each other. I do. It's fun. It's chippy. It's crazy. We have the Joe Kelly, Fernando Tatis situation going on. It's 2 fan bases that don't really like each other, even though LA will be like, we don't even care about San Diego. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Like both in San Diego, same thing. You care about LA. Just relax. It's a great rivalry going on right now. One that's been a little lopsided during the regular season. You know, we know what the Padres, they got the Dodgers in the postseason last year, so they got that to hold on to. But I want to mention that crying Kershaw meme.
Wow. That's still
been
there.
A big turning point in the season series.
Still there,
here.
huh?
Yeah. So, this was a couple games, a couple blow-up innings. We have a big 8th inning for the Dodgers, I believe, in the first game. And then in the second game, a big 8th inning sloppy baseball by the Dodgers. The Padres come back in that. And then, we have the wraparound for Monday. I just hope that we get some postseason ball with both these teams. I think it would be great for baseball. You mentioned the Padres sitting 3 out. It just seems to me like I'm still counting on the Padres to be there.
They have more of a chance than people would probably think. They're only 3 games out of the final wild card. Since the All-Star break, it's felt a little better that, I don't know. I mean, they obviously still have to go and win a lot more games, but it's for what their season has been. If they somehow snake their way into that last wild card spot, you still have to see the top end of their rotation, the back end of their bullpen, and the top half of their lineup. That, I don't know. There's still not a reason to believe yet, but there might be a reason to believe at some point, which I don't know.
The tough thing is, you bring in Rich Hill, he gets touched up. You got Musgrove, he's out for 3. You're shutting him down for 3 weeks with shoulder inflammation. That is not great. Snaps for Brent Honeywell. He goes from the Padres to where?
The
White Sox.
Go
be a leader, Brent. Go turn that ship around there in Chicago. Yeah, I don't know. I want both these teams to square up. I do. I think it's fun baseball. Dodgers are a wagon still. They are. Freddie Freeman, I think, doesn't get talked about enough. the season that he's having. It's just kind of like we're bored with Freddie and his excellence, so it's just like, oh yeah, Freddie's doing his thing. And
yeah, I know, and I
whatever, but no, he's absolutely mashing the baseball.
I do feel bad because I do feel a little generic-y with the next series, too, because Pirates split 4, and anytime there's a split, we sneaky hate that. Brewers kids in the first game, Terang, Frelick, okay. Yeah, when the kids perform, they win. Our guy Pat Murphy got ejected in game 2.
Nice,
so that's,
of course.
we love that. And then the Blake Perkins walk-off in the 10th inning. That was pretty cool. Brewers' first victory in a game they trailed in 8 innings. They'd been 0 for 47, so they come back against Bednar, so you like that. Corbin Burns with his 7th consecutive quality start. We do like that. But they end up splitting on that final game. Andy Rodriguez, the kid for Pittsburgh, and Oviedo with a really nice start that I don't know. I don't know if I have too much fuel to add on the fire to that series.
Mark Canha made his Brewers debut. That was cool. So he had a 3-hit game. I believe it was the second game of the series. Went 0 for last night. It's cool seeing him in a Brewers uniform. I like it.
Okay.
I think the kids are. Yeah, and then, I like when you bring in someone like that. It kind of fires the kids up. They're got to fight for playing time.
Yeah,
a little bit. So I'm down for that. I think we can move on.
Yeah, I did. I'll hype the Rose rotation a little bit with Yelly. Yelly is who he is. Is an awesome Cali boy who could also fit in to Milwaukee pretty good, and he he just hit his 10 years in the big leagues, which is a really big thing for players. And I don't know. You're right. Like he was talking about when he was young and seeing a veteran, and you're like, wow, you're 30, you're old, dude. And I don't know. Mark Canha having been through a lot of battles before. That's another respected guy in the clubhouse that who knows what it means. But don't split series. We hate that. Luckily, I think this next one we can talk about because it's one of the sexiest teams in baseball right now. And they come in, the Chicago Cubs host the Atlanta Braves, who, how easy would it have been for us to say, Braves train came through down, took out all your momentum, especially after losing the first game 8-0. No, don't funk with my heart. The Cubbies, they win the next 2 to keep their hot streak going. And, man, Dansby, he is going for them. That guy, man, he was the last guy of all those free agent shortstops, and right now I don't know. Cody Bellinger, have you ever seen a player respond better to trade deadline rumors and staying? He might be a guy that can force the Cubs front office to roll out another set of money bags for him. 15th win in the last 19 games. They are in the last wild card spot. They are competing for the Central. All of the horror stories we let out about the Halos and a couple other teams, the Cubs times are good, Trevor Plouffe.
Well, we won't talk about our boy Max, because I think I'm going to mention him later, but it's great to have him back. I'm sure Braves fans are very happy about that. But yeah, then the Cubs answered it, man. Big offensive days from a couple guys who you started to expect. Our boy Ian Happ does his thing, hits a homer in that second game. But you're right, Belly I think he's just really enjoying that team. It seems like they have a really good clubhouse mix there. They're having fun playing ball. Obviously, winning helps that. You mentioned 15 out of the last 19. They've scored more runs than anybody after the All-Star break, so the offense is banging the ball around the park. It's a good time to be a Cubs fan. I did see Seiya Suzuki. They're talking about he's been really good. Defensively out in right field, but they want to get that offense going. So he's not exactly just going to be rolled out there anymore, according to Ross. You're going to have Talkin doing his thing, which he responds in the last game, goes 2 for 5, couple runs, scores, stolen base. They're feeling it, and they're finding the right mixture of guys. And I think that the run that they have gone on And the fact that they decided to keep everybody and add at the deadline has been, it's just the right mixture showed up. And sometimes that doesn't happen, but in Chicago, it seems like it has, man, because if you take 2 or 3 from the Braves, no matter what time of the year it is, it's a good thing. But when you're running hot like this, it feels even better. Like they are right there. And Cincinnati was running that division. We're like, oh man, they look like a juggernaut. Although I think I pumped the brakes on that quite a bit. Now we got a 3-team race, dude. Like this is going to be one of the more fascinating divisions to watch. Probably, maybe not the most, but one of the most. You know, I would say the AL West is going to be awesome, and I would say that this is going to be awesome.
If the AL West comes together, those teams are better, and that race via that would be more electric. There is a chance that it could end up being a runaway, and we wouldn't be surprised, I guess. I mean, this has the makings of like 3-way. Every episode we're like, oh my God, and how could, one game here or there could end up being the difference. The Cubs, something they have going for them, Trevor, which you're bigger on than me, plus 75 run differential. That is third best in the National League. And going back to what I was saying before, if you're anyone out there that might want to buy a little Padres stock, they have the fourth best run differential. So this was lurking with the Cubs. I talked about this here. I talked about it on Wake and Jake a little bit. There was some Cubs metrics that said there was a chance for them to go. Man, thank God they went at the right time, so they didn't end up trading Belly. In fact, they added Jamer. They are now completely in the mix. If you had to pick a Central team today, to win the NL Central, who would you pick?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot here.
I know,
huh?
and it's fake clicky, so like I don't really care, but I'll say it like as of today I would pick the Cubs. I think they have it going. I think they've shown me just a little more than the Brew Crew. Since he scares you with all those kids, I think I've flopped from, I think All-Star break. We asked the same question. I said Milwaukee.
Milwaukee Brewers are 21-10 in 1-run games. They know how to win those. The Cubs offensively are better, but I think overall I would take the pitching of the Brewers. So I'll still side with the Brewers here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit more of a know-how, I guess. Although we've seen some collapses from them too. Oh man, I'll give it to the Brewers right now.
Braves, we love you. We're talking Max Fried in a minute. Let's segue more so into the Cincinnati Reds, who, Trev, I love it. Twitter/X has become, it's a whole thing, and people run hot and cold, and, if there's a Yankees game on, my feed is very different, and, we had a big floorball thing this weekend. I couldn't be as active on there as I'd like to be. One of the tweets I did see was just like, it was someone who was at Talkin Jake, so like it wouldn't pop up on your feed organically. They just added me. I don't think it was someone I've chatted with again, and they were like, hey man, what's going on with my Reds? Because we're playing bad baseball right now. We just got swept by the Nationals. That first game, it goes into the 10th, and Lane Thomas hits his second homer of the day to help make it a 6-3 game. Reds fans, I'll send it back at you because you guys know your team better than me. If I had to guess, this is the risk that comes with young ball players. Like it's why you just got so passionate about Freddie Freeman. Because to be so good and so consistent is the hard part about baseball. Like, you can have a good series. Like, Trevor Plouffe, you had a lot of good series, my man. It's hard. Don't make that face.
Where are you going with? Don't bring me into this. I had a very nice career.
It's hard to be very good and very consistent in this game. It just is. And the Reds' young players, everyone coming out of the gate, there's never been a baseball team that has had 7 young guys come up and be amazing at the same time for the next 5 years. And that's where the Reds made me a little nervous because all those guys were balling and it was awesome. But I mentioned juice a lot, and I've mentioned it with a couple teams. Feels like their juice entered a scary territory, and the Nats gave them the business, and now the Reds, I don't know, Reds, Cubs, and Brewers are in this same sprint together.
That's why we talked about the Reds. We said, look, it's a bunch of young guys doing this, and we love seeing that. It's great they're getting their opportunity, but you have to have realistic expectations for young players. The game is very difficult, especially as a hitter. Young pitchers can kind of get away with it more because if they just have the stuff, they pitch to their strengths, great. Hitters, I mean, you have to be able to adjust to what the league's doing you, and if they find holes, they're going to expose them. Like, they're going to find your holes. They're going to. So now, yeah, Reds are on an L6. Like a tough start to the series. Graham Ashcraft throws really well. He gets into the 8th inning, and then my guy Joey Meneses ties the game with a 2-run homer. You mentioned Lane Thomas, who I think is my underrated favorite baseball player right now.
Yeah.
I told you guys, this guy just looks good. He comes up big for them. If you go back even before that, the rest of the L6 is them against the Cubs, and they got manhandled for a few games. I believe they gave up 16 runs in one game, then 20 runs in another one. On August 1st, they gave up 20 runs. The next game, they gave up 16 runs. I mean, that helps the Cubs run differential right there, by the way. It's the Reds are going to have to figure it out. They're going to be streaky. Who's to say they can't get that offense rolling again and line it up with a pitching and they can go on a 6-7 game heater? There's no doubt. But to think they were going to be consistent pole to pole from when they started going to the end of the season was kind of foolish. And a lot of people get caught up in that hype, and we're happy for everybody that when that did happen. But if you take just a step back and you realize, hey man, it's not going to be just, hopes and dreams. There's going to be a few nightmares in there.
The first national road sweep since 2019. August of 2019. A little Lee Corso, both ways there. Rockies and Cardinals, your two worst teams in the National League. Rockies took 2 out of 3. The Arenado Bowl.
But you called up Kotuck.
You called up Kotuck, so go Rockies, go.
Points for us.
You know what? Catch the Cardinals. Catch the Cardinals. Jesus, man. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Hey, run it for the next 30 seconds, Poppy. You got it.
Okay. I do have it then. I'll check this series off. Rangers sweep the Fish. I mentioned Monty got his debut in. You're going to hear about Adolis Garcia in a second because he's a stud. The Josh Young injury. Let's wait for the updates on that. Seager's back and he's balling again. Every time he's on the field, he's been incredible. So Rangers fans, you can also pocket that. Let's wait for the updates on that because the trade deadline's over. Josh Young has been a very stabilizing and good player at third base for the Rangers. Like we've referenced throughout this episode, the AL West has a chance to be a full-blown dance. If the Mariners take care of their schedule business and they're playing better baseball, which they are, Houston is Houston. This Texas hot start to the season, I don't know, don't end up like last year's Mets. Don't get clipped at the finish line and find yourself in a 3-game wildcard series saying, how the hell did we end up here? Give me the updates on thick-necked Josh Young. Rangers fans, you swept the Marlins, who, we've been hot to trot on them a little bit, and we were happy with their deadline. They are currently out of the wild card. Kind of, I don't want to say scary hours yet because they're they're a half game out, and they're heading to Cincy. So, whoa. Talk about, you want to see our guy Jimmy, and I will say I agree with him. With this expanded playoffs, I think the NL's heading to where the Snakes, where the Fish, and where the Reds are currently at. They're not giving you big-time playoff vibes. We're getting some bad playoff baseball second week of August between the Fish and the Reds, both coming off of being swept. L6 for Cincy, L4 for Miami. Buckle up. Those should be some fun ones.
I believe Yuri Perez is coming back into the fold now for Miami, which is hilarious to me. Like,
he's
I just
got the
don't.
pill tonight.
Good.
I just don't understand. I don't get it, man. We got to, like, let's just not start these guys in the show. Like, let's just start them in May or June so they can actually just pitch throughout the season. I think that's my answer to everything. But, yeah, that's going to be – I hope that Josh Jung is going to be able to come back for the playoffs. I hope that's the case because he put together a really nice rookie year here. And you just hate to see. I mean, it was a line drive, right? That
got his finger.
Just got his finger. Freak stuff, man. This guy's been dealing with some injuries the last couple years, and they already lost Jonah Heim. Now him, Brad Miller, backyard Brad, got a hamstring issue right now. So they're testing the depth there, but they have enough. I mean, you mentioned Corey Seager coming back and doing what he's been doing, like.
Also,
they got some players. Corey Seager, by the way, on the year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's only played, how many games does this guy play? He only has 280 at bats right now. He's got a 4.9 Baseball Reference WAR.
Yeah. If Shohei didn't exist, it'd be an interesting AL MVP convo, and you have to mention him.
He's played 70 games.
I just gave my AL West speech, how it's still in play, and I do believe all of those words. They're about to play 3 against Oakland, so there's a good chance that Texas is about to put up a W9. So just ignore me. Ignore me for now. Or maybe Oakland's clicking at the right time. Fishies. Oh, Fish Reds. Fire me up. Trev, your Twins swept my Snakes. Unbelievable. Shock. We are shocked. I mentioned my Paul Sewell joke. I'll let you run, because I don't know.
Snakes scored 6 runs in a 3-game set. Ain't going to get it done. I will give one update about the manager, Torey Lovella. I sat and we're on the field for Joe's HOF thing. Afterwards, I strolled over. I'm just running the show there, bro. I'm walking to the Twins dugout, dapping people up, talk to the owners, the pole lads. What's up? Then I go over to Torey and I say, what's up, bro? Just want to say hi. And you know what he said?
What did he say, Trev?
He gave you and Jimmy a compliment. He said, hey, you guys are doing a great job. And he goes, we need to make it a point. At some point, during the off season, he goes, I need to get to New York and I just want to have beers with you guys. And I was like, hey, bro, we can make that happen. That's what we do best. Unfortunately for him, they got the business. Twins gave him the business, dude.
Couldn't give him that last game. Get out of here, Matt Wallner.
Yeah, it was Kepler first.
I know.
Paul Sewald comes. Kepler, first pitch of the 9th inning, ties the game. Then Matt Wallner, who's been incredible, Mr. Minnesota, baseball 2000, whatever it was. People forget he's a Minnesota boy. That was a absolute bomb. His stats have been great. Michael A. Taylor's hitting homers. How many does he have now? Like 20?
40.
Oh.
No.
He's homered in 3 straight. He homered in 3 straight games at one point during that series. Then, yeah, I mean, a big story for the Twins is Keuchel coming up and doing what he did. 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run. He scattered some hits.
How did he look, Trev? Because I think he did a whole drive line, like rebrand type deal, and you just never know until you see it.
Yeah, I mean, he pitched really well. He was with the Twins AAA team for quite some time, for like over a month.
Right.
His numbers were great in AAA. He just kind of looks like what he's looked like. I mean, he's a soft contact king. Keeps the ball down. He's not going to give up homers. I don't know what the Twins' plan is for him, to be honest with you. I think maybe like you kind of do a 6-man-ish, and you're given Joe Ryan, who struggled as of late, maybe you give a little breather, maybe you give him a start off or something like that. I think there were some talks about that. But now, the Twins pitching coaches, Pete Mackey's the head guy. We need to give them some credit.
Okay.
Because you're taking a rotation now that on paper, if you looked at it, you're like, kind of who are these guys?
Right.
But they've been one of the best units in all of baseball. So, I mean, Sonny Gray's been there and done that, but having Kenta Maeda come back and look like he has looked, that's a testament to the coaching staff. And now Keuchel kind of doing his thing. Ober's been great. I mean, you got to give love to the pitching staff. And then, a couple guys stepped up. Max Kepler's been like one of the better players.
Oh, boy.
And all of a sudden, he's got a $10 million team option. You don't find players for $10 million that can kind of do some things that he does. Even just his defense alone, I mean, it's going to be an interesting decision for them. They got a lot of guys that can play outfield that hit left-handed, and I don't know what the hell they're going to do. But, yeah, they get the sweep, man. God, you're not going to lose on Joe Mauer weekend. The day that Joe got his put into the Hall of Fame, what was the score? It was a lot.
They're 12-1.
12-1. I mean, and even Matt Wallner after the walk-off, he told Audra Martin, hey, we wanted to get the job done for Joe. So shout out Joe Mauer.
The Plouffe family.
And the Red Hot Twins.
Plouffe family in attendance. I was explaining to Jess what a number retirement ceremony is, and that kind of blew her mind. I was like, yeah. No.
Well, he already had his number retired. This was like a weird thing.
So
they did it
this
in
was
reverse.
This is Team Hall of Fame.
This is Hall of Fame.
Joe's got a hammer. Let's honor him again.
I told Olivia, I said that getting your number retired is more of an honor than being in a team's Hall of Fame.
So they doubled down on that. I get
got
it.
another
Two
day out of
events
it.
instead of one? Sure. That's business 101.
So some more bobbleheads.
God, that
A lot of bobbleheads.
Paul Sewald getting initiated to the Snakes like that. That's tough. And I'm going to be there Friday. Arizona. I'm talking.
You're going to Arizona?
Yeah. I'm
Go hang out with Tori. You want to have beers with me?
Might be on the field. We're working on some stuff with the social media team. I was lobbying for a first pitch. I think it's Phoenix Suns night, so
you can go with KD.
Might be me and Cam Payne out there just wrestling on the field. Book. I don't want to start too many rumors, but there is a chance. You know how they do that little kid game where they have to bring the second base bag to second base and back in like 20 seconds? There's a chance I might be able to partake in that. So, Snakes, I'm coming down to save the season. Say hi Friday. I might have a good buzz going. It's my annual fantasy football draft trip, so we'll be good.
Michael A. Taylor, 15 homers.
Like Trev just saved the Twins this weekend, I'll save the Snakes.
Snakes 7-21 since July 2nd. They need you, Poppy.
I know. I'll get the boys bopping. Trev, these last two are very different for different reasons. The Phillies take 3 out of 4 from the Royals. You'll be talking about that because there was some really cool stuff that happened that you don't see at a ballpark a lot. And then the Orioles swept the Mets, which the Mets add them to a team that has not won since the deadline. Since they sold. Some fun facts from this series. James McCann has a nice little redemption, 3 for 3 against his former team that paid for him to leave town. My guy Mike Baumann out of that Orioles bullpen, 9-0 record, first time since. One of my favorites. Like if I made an all-time favorite baseball team, first time an Orioles reliever had that since Arthur Rhodes. Arthur Rhodes is just a fun lefty coming out of the pen. Buck Showalter returned to Baltimore for the first time. And yeah, I mean the Orioles put it on them and it ended on a shutout in the last game. So if there's anything you want from those final two, Trev, I'm bueno.
I think we get into the second half of the show. Poppy?
Second half of the show is brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code TALKIN, $5. Score 150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code TALKIN only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Massachusetts. Call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. In West Virginia, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. All games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly in partnership with Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. In CT, help is available. 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 21 plus in most eligible states, but ages vary by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. 1 boost per eligible game. Opt-in required. Max bet $50. 10 plus leg required for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball. Toymes, Trevor. Standout performances. Man, there were some options here. I know you wanted to talk about Cade Marlowe and Alfonso Rivas and
CJ Abrams,
Ryan Jeffers and Bassett, but you landed on a guy.
You reminded me. I didn't talk about Jeffers. He's my guy.
Okay.
He's in the middle of a breakout season. People go check him out. I saw that homer. He hit a bomb too. Kepler hit a bomb. Oh, whatever. Sorry about my Twins. Stand-up performance. I'm going to go with another one of my buddies. He returns after a lengthy stint on the IL. It's Max Fried. Comes back, takes the ball on Friday, goes 6 innings pitched, gives up 3 hits, doesn't walk a damn person, and strikes out 8 people, gets the W, the only one the Braves got this weekend. He's kind of owned the Cubs throughout his career, I believe. And his numbers, I know it's 6 games started, but this guy's got a 1.69 nice for his ERA. Beavers are going to like this too. His whip is a .969.
That is nice.
So he's just getting it done. And the Braves, we people get mad. Braves fans get mad at us because we're saying, oh, the Braves are going to be there. They're this good. They're doing this. They're doing that. And now they get Max Fried back. And I'm rooting for this guy to go out there, and it will almost seem like, was he even gone? If he comes back in August, does his thing, September does his thing into the playoffs, it'll be like, hey, man, you didn't even need to pitch those, other 4 months of the year because this is when we actually need you for. And he comes back and does his thing. I mean, he threw 72 pitches through 6 innings, man. Didn't walk a guy. Looked like the Max Fried that we know and love. So I wanted to shout him out because he hadn't pitched since May 5th, dude.
Yeah.
He came back on August 4th.
Yeah.
I think he missed first couple weeks.
June,
too.
July, August. I don't know how to count months. I think it's 3
Nobody
months.
knows. Nobody knows for sure.
Either way.
And yeah, hey, Carlos Rodon, he just left the game with a half injury. He missed spring training, so it's a little different than Fried, but you miss that much time. It's tough. It's tough to jump back on the train. So that's big for the Braves. And yeah, I started mentally laughing a little bit because I gave that whole Houston, their bullpen, their rotation, their lineup. And, Braves fans say we're bored of it, but, doesn't it feel like Fried, Strider, Morton, the top of their lineup, the back end of their bullpen, as the trade deadline passed and the calendar turned to August, it feels like, the big boys are starting to come into shape, and Max Fried is a big part of that. Speaking of big boys, and I'm not talking Julio, I'm not talking George Springer, Sal Frelick, I bet. I want to go to my guy, Adolis Garcia. Adolis, I know they always get mad, and I'm sorry I sound like just crazy white and lame. Maybe I am. But I love this dude, man. Besides him being yoked up with the chains banging and everything I like there, this guy is a star. On Friday, he put up a 3-for-3 double, 2 homers, 2 RBI, 2 runs, and he had a walk. When we did the over-unders this season, I remember his RBI total popped up, and I believe it was over 100 or it was like 98.5, and I was like, damn, man. I know RBI, that's a stat that people have turned away from a little bit because to get RBI, you need a good team and you need a good lineup in front of you, and he does have that, and he had that last year when he drove in a hunch, 101. The past 2 years, Adolis Garcia has been great. 31 homers, 27 homers. Not an on-base percentage guy. He was 286 and 300, which left the OPS, in the 7s. This year, the on-base percentage is up. a 343 OBP. He has more walks than he did last year in 156 games. The OPS plus is 136. Something that I think players need to be constantly getting better to survive in this league. Like you mentioned, Trev, as a hitter, you need to adjust and improve. And sometimes when guys are older, we don't think that can continue to happen. But if you keep seeing big league pitching, there's a chance. And Adolis Garcia has gotten better. He has 29 homers this season already with 109 games played. And he has bowled in his Baseball Reference because he leads your American League in runners batted in, which is still important when that guy's on your team because that means you're driving in the most runs. This guy's a stud. I love every part about him. He is a Cuban ball player. And Cardinals fans, turn off your ears because if we talk about him and Lane Thomas, sheesh.
Yeah, no kidding. For Adolis, the on-base percentage, he's swinging a little bit less this year. His chase rate is down. It's better than league average, which is nice. It's been as high as 37.3, and this year it's down to 28%. So that'll help your on-base percentage. He's swinging at less first pitches, so he's kind of like working the count, seeing a little bit more. And this is a guy who didn't really have a rookie season because of some injuries and some other stuff. But he's only 3 full years in, and he's basically gone 30 and 100 every single year, which is a feat.
It's not bad, huh?
Like that used to be what every single hitter was like. If you do that, you're a god.
Right.
30 and 100 you're a god. And I think still anyone that gets those numbers, doesn't matter what other numbers there are, you could have a 200 on base percentage, but if you get to 30 and 100, it's like, okay, bro, you did it. This guy's been that his whole career basically. So,
dude,
I'm into it, man. I mean, look at those numbers. 2021, his first real run at things where he plays 149 games. He goes 31 and 90. Last year, 27 and 101. This year, he's going to get to 30 and 100. I like it.
Trev, Texas Rangers, who I gave a AL West, watch out. AL West might be hot to trot this year. Seager, 4.9 WAR.
Yeesh.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Simeon, 4.8 WAR.
Yep.
Also not bad. Garcia, 4.3. And that's before you get to Jonah Heim and Nate Lowe and thick-neck Josh Young. They are stacked. And the big guy out in right field or sometimes center, he's a big part of that. So,
Travis Jankowski has a 1.8 WAR. That's more than a lot of your favorite players have this year. Just so you know.
Yeah, they bat him second. Sometimes.
Hey, guess what? I had an over a 4 WAR one year, man. Check that out.
Yeah,
hang that.
Make that a jolly video or something. Trev,
his one good year.
Can you tell me like who's hot in the streets right now?
Dirt nasties on Fuego. That means I'm on fire, baby. Like Waco.
Still think it's hilarious that we use that song every time I hear it. Okay, we're gonna go through this quick. For the series, my guy Max Kepler mentioned it, 5 for 12, 3 Jimmy Jacks in the series against Arizona. How about Freddie Fermin? I feel like we've been talking about this guy quite a bit. What's his numbers looking like on the year? Check those for me, Beavers.
Those.
When we get done, we'll talk about it. 6 for 12 in the series, 2 doubles, 2 homers. That was against Philadelphia. Now, you just talked about this guy for the week of July 31st through August 6th. Adolis Garcia went 8 for 19, 4 homers, 5 ribbies, 5 walks, doing it. Elvis Andrus, who's had the front row seat to 2 of the bigger fights in baseball history. Nice. 7 for 16, 4 double. Where are you at, Elvis? You need to be the leader there. He's over it.
Yeah.
He's over it. 2 stolen bases. Kyle Finnegan, relief pitcher for the Washington Nationals. He pitched in 5 games.
Wow.
In this week, had a boy, everyday Eddie type stuff. 5 innings pitched, only 2 hits, no runs, 5 Ks. He got 3 saves. He's allowed 3 earned runs in 27 innings pitched since the start of June. Quick math, that's a 1 ERA.
Okay.
Crush that right there. How about for 2 weeks? July 24th through August 6th, Matt Olson doing a lot of things to Jake's future daughter. 14 for 38, a double, 7 homers, 17 ribbies. Just absolutely crushing the ball. I love that guy. How about Gary Sanchez?
How about him?
Date my daughter.
Yeah.
12 for 35. No, actually, no.
There's an
Whatever.
age gap. There's an age gap.
Age gap. 3 doubles, 6 homers in that span with 12 ribbies. His 15 homers since May 31st were the most by any primary position catcher during that span. You'd love to see that. And how about Johan Oviedo? You mentioned him in your burn a little bit. He started 3 games in the 2 weeks. 3-0, 20 innings pitched, only 11 hits, 2 earned runs, 16 Ks. That's a .9 ERA with a .95 whip. He had 8 straight losses before these 3 consecutive victories. So check that out. He's tied Mitch Keller now for the most quality starts thrown by a Pirate this season with 12. He also has the lowest ERA on the Pirates at 4.18. My friends, that's Susan Fuego. And BBD? Freddie
Fermin, he is batting. The triple slash is 313, 350, 544. It's an 895 OPS across 48 games, $158 plate appearances, 8 homers.
All right, I was right.
He's been balling. Sorry, Royals fans. When I saw him earlier this year, they were doing this guy looks like he can play ball a little bit.
Can I give a little Fermin story? I had a guy named Angelo Fermin. Okay. My first year, I get drafted. I get sent to advanced rookie. I'm 18 years old. This guy is like a 24-year-old Latin dude. Can pick it. Can play. I think I'm competing with this guy to get starts at shortstop. So I'm like, all right, I got to go like bust it. And I was talking to one of my buddies. I was like, yeah, man, for me, and like the guy can really do it. Hopefully I get some starts. And the guy looks at me. He's like, you just got drafted in the first round. You're going to play.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I ever thought about that.
Yeah.
Was like, I'm going to play every day because they just invested a lot of money in me. But shout out Angelo for me because he was a good ball player. And he used to cook in his hotel room. The first guy I ever saw do that.
Shout out to Angelo Fermin. He hadn't been deep on my radar. Gary Sanchez, 2.2 WAR in 53 games. That would put him 5th on the Yankees this season. Anyways,
and Trev, you had a 4.2 baseball reference for 2014. So
ooh.
Yeah. So that's pretty good, guys. Give me some credit.
That's a great year. Fangraphs.
Angelo Fermin, by the way, 5'8". Short king.
Yeah, it looked like he he wasn't swinging the twig enough in Fort Myers or Beloit. The IL, and there's some big names on this. You mentioned Joe Musgrove went on the IL. That could be significant if you're hoping for the Padres to get hot. Josh Naylor, who was a part of Cleveland, becoming a part of this season. Byron Buxton, Buck Daddy, big weekend in Minnesota. We hate that. Zach Neto, your dude on the Angels. That's the last news they need. They have an infield and a half on the IL right now. Rake Fraley for the Reds, who had been a big part of what they were doing. He goes to the IL. Brandon Marsh for the Phils. Michael Grove, the young pitcher for the Dodgers. Shags in Miami. Returning from the IL, you heard about Max Fried. Starling Marte came back for the Metropolitans. Brandon Drury. So out goes Neto, in comes Drury. Tyro Estrada, the bullet for my Giants. Nestor, I told you about. Esteury Ruiz trying to set some rookie stolen base records. He's back for Oakland. Woodruff for Milwaukee. Circle that one. He is a dude. And Jose Urquidy, show me your cat. He's back for Houston because they need more, always. And Trev, this brings us to the start of our week. Got to see Kels this weekend at floorball. Delightful.
Jealous.
Delightful.
She's the best. I am going to give out the egg on my face award.
Wow.
I heard Jimmy O'Brien use that term on a tweet, and I said I like that.
Yeah.
Not too long ago, Seiya Suzuki was making his way over to the States, and he was talking about teams. And, I believe at one point the Phillies were really interested in him. We all know he ended up choosing the Cubs, and I said some things about Philadelphia. Obviously, I played there very, very short time, so I'm no expert on the fan base or anything like that. I like to, consider myself a Philly, but I understand why people would say, "What are you talking about?" I get it. I only played like 12 games or something like that. What I said was, "Hey, man, like when you're thinking about coming over here from a new country, there are times where you might consider like where you're going to play. Like, is it going to be an easy place to play?" And I said, the Philadelphia is not an easy place to play. Like the fans can get on you. And, if you struggle out the gate, like, there's going to be some booze raining down. And, I just said it's not an easy place to play. And the fans were pissed at me for that. They said, "Why would you say you have no idea what you're talking about? We can be hard on you, but we can love you just as much on the other side." And they were pissed at me for a while. I think we're on good terms now. But the last couple seasons, they have really showed what they were talking about. We have the Alec Boehm moment where he said, "I effing hate this place." And then they rallied around him, and he went on a heater, and they gave him the standing ovation the next day, and it was awesome. And we really liked that. Then obviously they make the World Series. Things were all great. Fan base, you watch a playoff game in Philadelphia, and you understand just how passionate the Philadelphia fans are. No doubt about it. What they did with Trea Turner, you had to give him an award here because I thought it was just so cool. We all know Trea's been struggling. He gets the massive deal, just is not getting the job done. He's been making some errors as of late. He hasn't been hitting for power at all. He hasn't been hitting in general at all. And I don't know how this starts, man. I don't get it. But it started somehow. He walks up on Friday night, and they decide to give him a standing ovation, seemingly kind of out of nowhere, just to let Trea know that we got your back, bro. And I thought that was one of the cooler moments. I've tried to put myself in Trea's shoes. I mean, what does that feel like to have an entire fan base rally around you? You're struggling. And I say this all the time on this show. Sometimes that's just what guys need, and I wish more fan bases, Yankees, would do that sometimes. And you can tell me if I'm wrong, if they've done it before. I would love it. I would love it. This is awesome, dude. If you're struggling and you get a standing ovation and people say, "Hey, man, we got your freaking back," it's amazing. Now he goes out, has an RBI on Friday night's game, but then Saturday, it's a go-ahead homer, a 3-run shot in the 6th inning to put the Phillies up for good, and he gets the freaking curtain call after that. Thought that was amazing. He talked about it after Friday's game. His mom was crying that they were supporting him like that because she's a mom, and she knows like it could take a mental toll on you struggling like this and not performing to how you want to perform. He gets the standing O, then he gets the curtain call, does that whole thing. And I thought one of the cherry on top of this whole situation. So love Philly fans, fucking snaps. Egg on my face. You guys showed out. Love that. I think it's so freaking cool. I hope I'm able to articulate that to you, just how impressed I was with you guys doing that. Trea Turner being the guy that he is, John Boy Media investor, Trea Turner, love you, bro. Takes out billboards all around Philadelphia saying, "Thank you, Philly." The whole situation is awesome. The whole freaking situation is awesome, and I'm rooting for the Phillies. I love this team, and I love the fan base, guys. I love you. You did a great job. So that's egg on my face award goes to Phillies fans and Trea Turner for how they handle the situation. So snaps for you guys.
Sports is about passion, man, or at least being a fan is. And Philly has some of the most passionate fans, and that can rear its heads both ways. And this was one of the more awesome ways. So, it's crazy to think Trea Turner was the story of the WBC before Shohei. So, like, how crazy is that, and how much has to be spinning through his mind that I hope he starts going nuts for the Phillies, and if he does, watch out. Because, man, you know who leads their team in WAR? Bryson Stott. Bryce Harper is back and fighting, and his stats are starting to get back into Harperville. Castellanos has been battling and has had some big moments and has been good for them. For Philly to be where they're at, and they, a lot of their guys, no one on their offense has gone nuts. Like, no one's having that, like, whoa season. Harper's OPS is in the 8s. That's Marsh, who just went down. His was too, but, like, they kind of don't have, like, the guy who steps up with a 930 OPS. Like, they're just getting a lot of solid contributions that if one of their guys starts going nuts, that's just extra juice for Philly that, again, no one will want to see them. Beebs?
Castellanos is doing some crazy every other month stuff.
Okay. Streaky guy.
Yeah.
Trea Turner,
August,
MVP 7, MVP 5, MVP 5, MVP 11. If you think this guy is going to just not be a good ball player, you're crazy. And we always talk about, regression to the mean. Trea Turner might just be the MVP of the rest of the season right in front of our eyes.
Shout out to Johan Rojas, who Jolly shout out too. Kid has been giving them
He's a kid, good defender.
Work. Trev, I'm gonna finish with some kids too. I'm going lame stream with the first impression award. And it goes to two young ball players. My guy Davis Schneider, short king, listed 5'9", your 29th ranked prospect in the Blue Jays system. He's been putting up some numbers, though, and he gets the call to the show. Welcome, kid. All he does, 9 for 13. 9 for 13. 2 homers, 5 RBI. Boston he gets hit by a pitch, too, which some people were wondering, hey, is that's your guy's only way to get around him at this point. First player in MLB history. That's right. First player in MLB history. 9 hits and 2 homers in his first 3 career games. And this Blue Jays team that I stopped myself from hyping because you know Vladdy and you know Springer. You know the dudes on that team. A lot of guys that were big-time prospects, and, it's clicked for Toronto. How about Davis Schneider coming in, lighting it on fire? They slid him up in the lineup because he looked so good. Coach's last name is Schneider, so I don't know. They got to feel connected, right? On the other side of it, and Schneider, dude, he's got everything. I think he's from Jersey. I think he was like a 28th round pick. On the other side of the ball, Lyon Richardson or Lyon Richardson, Lyon, second round pick, 23-year-old. He gets his call to the show with the Cincinnati Reds. Big year for him, Trev. Single A, double A, triple A. Gets the call to your Cincinnati Reds. We're competing for the Central. First 2 pitches go yard call. Abrams and Lane Thomas. Not just back-to-back batters, back-to-back pitches. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, kid. He ends up settling in for 3 innings and gets some outs after that. And, man, I don't know. It's just this sick sport of baseball and some of the luck that is tied into things. Richardson's quotes after the games were solid. He was like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't hate the location of the first pitch, if I'm being honest. And he just jumped a heater. You always remember your debut and make it make it a story to be told later and make it be fun at the end of a 10-year career. Because it's all ahead of you. Whether you get off to the 9 or 13 start or whether your first 2 pitches get taken yard piece, there's a lot of ball to be played. So it's we're gonna see a lot more young guys getting opportunities as the year goes on, and take advantage of it, young fellas. So congrats to both guys in different ways for being in the show. Sick sport, Trev.
Richardson might not have been able to feel the ball in his hands. That's just how it works. Where you make your debut, things happen. It is a wild moment for you. Your body is feeling a way it's never felt before. I promise you that. So yeah, this guy had a great year in or in the minor leagues this year. Hopefully he settles in. I wouldn't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it. You get up a couple homers, no big deal, dude. It's in Cincinnati. You're gonna give up homers in Cincinnati. That's what I would tell him.
His quotes were good. He took it.
Yeah,
in
he was
stride.
good. He's a Florida boy. He's like, they don't give a shit about anything.
Yeah, he looks tough. Nice beard.
Where's Jensen Beach? Where's that at? Let's see.
Jensen Beach, Florida. I don't know.
Not a lot of guys coming out of Jensen Beach, got to be honest. Only 3 drafted players, Braden Ogle and Taylor Bloch.
Oh. Jensen Beach, Florida. We always end up here.
Yeah, looks like along the East Coast there.
He's an East Coast Florida guy. He's just cocky, and he's going to be fine.
Oh, wow. It's like...
Yeah, it's on that.
Oh, wow.
On that little island there.
It's like a strip.
Strip.
Oh, now I'm looking it up.
We got to get down there. It looks nice. Holy smokes.
The picture on the Wikipedia's got a cool fence.
It's a little north of Melbourne, if I'm seeing it right.
Oh, it's a north. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little up the way.
Okay. Diesel episode. Trev had a crazy last week. I've got some chaos coming. I think all JM Wednesday?
Believe so.
Sheesh. I suck. We're here, people. Dog days.
No way, bro. This is where we shine.
This is where we
ain't no inning limits here.
No. I'm kind of mad bumming it. I just throw.
Well,
I just
get you a day on the horse.